What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. With the good old Act 2 release, we got ourselves Guardian games, a bunch of changes going on. Bungie definitely had a wild day today with the releasing of the contest dungeons a little bit early, so definitely was a wild day getting into the game, getting to play, but we are going to cover a nice god roll guide from the new drop with the trace rifle, the Keraunios, I think that's how you say it, don't know, but it is an ARC special ammo, of course, for us that we are getting, and these nice trace rifles are going to do even better in this Act 2 with our new additional artifact mods that we got. I'll throw them up on the screen real quick so you guys can see them, but we got a good little addition coming because of that extra row of mods. Now, before we get into PvP, PvE god rolls with this, we're going to go with the classic Contender origin trait. Only one that we have on this at the moment. Might get a new one in the future, but final blows grant us class ability energy. Not a bad thing, about 5% when we get those defeats, so a good way to spam your dodge, your rift, or your shield, and that shield with bolt charges, very good in PvE. Dodging around with your hunter for sure in the Crucible, still kind of broken. The couple games that I played with that invisibility going up constantly, the smoke's going on everywhere, so definitely not a bad origin trait. When we start out in PvE, where I think this thing shines definitely brighter than the PvP side of things, we're going to go with small bore as our barrel, and then depending on how you feel, whatever masterwork that you would like. I personally went with range so we could have this bad boy stacked out to like 90 in both range and stability, a little bit over both of those depending on how we build out or how you choose to build out your battery as well. For me, tactical battery is my number one choice for the PvE realm because we get that 5 range, 5 2 stability, as well as 10 in reload, so kind of the jack of all trades, if you will, for a battery perk on these bad boys. You could also go with ionized battery, gives you some more shots in the magazine, plus 30. We do lose 20 to reload speed, so if you go with ionized battery, I would suggest throwing on a masterwork that is reload as well. When we move to the third column right here, we're going to start out with overflow. So when we pick up that special or heavy ammo, it's going to overload the magazine beyond its normal capacity, so super nice. We can have about 200 shots in this bad boy with the overflow perk. If you're looking to spam your abilities a little bit more, recycled energy right here, reloading after defeating a target grants you energy to your lowest charged ability, so not a bad PvE perk in my personal opinion. Last but not least, we got ourselves Eddy Current, temporarily increase reload speed and handling after sprinting, or will amplify. The effects are improved while amplified, so basically we can just reload faster, have a little bit better handling on this, so a little bit better for a DPS output kind of situation. We do have triple tap, but I don't know why it didn't feel as effective to me inside of something like this compared to if you're using something like a sniper. It does feel better on something like that in my personal opinion, so that's why I didn't throw it on this list, because these three right here feel a little bit better and kind of pair with that arc side in my personal opinion again better. So definitely what I would go with would probably be overall would be that overflow perk would be my number one, followed by probably recycled energy. I like both of those very, very well for this third column for the PvE realm. Now, last in the fourth column right here, we got three choices once again. We got detonator beam as our first option. Dealing sustained damage creates an explosion around the target. It is going to be an arc explosion as well, so be on the lookout for that. Rolling Storm is our second option of final blows. Grant us that nice bolt charge, while amplified final blows grant additional bolt charges, so bolt charges are disgusting in PvE. Definitely one of my favorite arc verbs that we got in the past couple years, if you will. And last but not least, dealing repeated damage with this jolts a target while we are amplified. Jolt is applied faster, so if we got this bad boy with that overflow, definitely super juicy, if you will, because jolting is also a disgusting interesting perk for those arc burns and arc synergy. I think overall, if you could throw on something, I would probably go with jolting feedback or detonator beam as my number one. Probably jolting feedback overall edges out the detonator beam in my personal opinion. And then like with the rolling storm, we can get bolt charges by ourselves in our arc subclasses as well as prismatic subclasses. So I think having that detonator beam or jolting feedback is almost hand in hand, but overflow with either of those is definitely a 5 out of 5. I think with the addition of some of these artifact perks, we're also just going to be able to juice this thing. So I'm going to give it, without the artifact in my brain, I would probably give it still nothing too crazy, but probably like a 4.3. It was feeling pretty good. Mine had detonator beam on it with recycled energy, and I was really liking that. Did some pretty good damage output, but like I said, if you can get that overflow with detonator or jolting feedback, definitely would be a better choice overall. Now, when we move on to PvP, we're going to build this thing out for stability, handling, and range. Tracking this thing up to 100 range feels really crispy in my personal opinion. Not as good as the Lodestar, but still feels pretty solid, especially with all of that S-Talk or the Redrix S-Talk going around. That thing is still absolutely disgusting, and I was able to get a couple defeats on some of those players with it. Like I said, it's still running the meta, so it's not going to be the best in the PvP realm, but it does feel pretty good. So we're going to start out with small bore as our barrel so we can get that 7 range, 7 stability. We're going to have 100 in range on this bad boy and about 90 in the stability, so it's not going to bounce much, and you're going to be able to laser guardians from pretty far away. I personally went with projection fuse in our battery. Gives us plus 10 to range, so it is a beautiful addition. Like I said, with this we're getting 100 in our range, 88 in stability, then 50 in our handling, so being able to swap on and off of it, not too terrible with that 50. If you are looking for a little bit extra handling, you could go with light battery, but it's only plus 10 to handling, so wasn't really my favorite compared to having that 100 range. 3 options for me in the third column. Hipfire grip is our first one, so we get that increased accuracy, stability, and precision hit targeting when firing from the hip. I like to fire some of these from the hip for sure, as these trace rifles in general, just because I don't know why, but like the beam mixed with the sights that are on some of these weapons throws me off visually, so hip firing feels really good on these trace rifles. Recycled energy again, so after defeating those targets, we're going to get energy when we reload based on our lowest charged ability. So another thing that we can never have enough of inside a Crucible is spamming our abilities. And last is that dynamic sway reduction. Improves accuracy, stability while we are holding down the trigger, so it is pretty solid. Again, for that we are already at about 90 in the stability, so it's not too necessary in my personal opinion to have dynamic sway, but it is a good option. I do think my personal favorite for this grouping would be that hipfire grip in the third column. Like I said, having that beam as well as ADSing with the sights on some of these things makes it a little challenging to see, so hipfire is what I would go with. I think your 2 options in the fourth column are closing time and harmony. Closing time right here improves range, accuracy, and handling as the magazine gets lower, and since basically we're gonna have about 29 to 30 bullets to start out on this weapon in every Crucible match, it is basically always going to be procced with closing time, so I like that hip fire with closing time is probably my number 1 choice. Harmony is your second choice. Final blows with another weapon improves this weapon's damage and output for a short period of time, so you can throw on that Redrix S-Stock and get a couple defeats, switch on to this boy to get your nice 20% increase in that damage as well as 15 handling, so we love handling in the Crucible. Not a bad choice. I really don't think that there is a bad choice in this column really for the PvP realm. I think that these 2 are definitely your best. I don't know which one I would go with if I'm being completely honest. I think probably more often than not closing time is going to be your better option, but if you're slaying out with that pulse rifle in Redrix S-Talk, you probably want to go with harmony. But I'm personally not a huge fan of these trace rifles in PvP, but would still probably give it like a 3.9 out of 5 and nothing too crazy. The Lodestar obviously still way better. I know that that's an exotic. All the exotics should be a little bit better than all the legendaries in my personal opinion, but as far as legendaries go, this is definitely one one of the better ones that we've got in the recent times. So I would be farming your Guardian games as much as possible to grab this boy. A lot of the weapons got some updated perk pulls as well. Terra Oxipos, that hullabaloo grenade launcher as well. So be on the lookout for your Guardian game drops and all of these god rolls that we'll probably cover for this event. So really appreciate you guys again for coming back to the channel. It means a lot to me, means a lot to the channel. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe. Hit that bell if you haven't. Join up on the Discord as well. We're trying to get that popping. People are joining left and right, so I really appreciate that again. But all you guys have been killing it. My mental state and burnout has been higher than ever, so I really appreciate that support as of lately. If you guys made it this far, really do appreciate all you guys and appreciate you guys. So thank you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.